Welcome to your 2 a.m. debates. Tonight, some of the world's most asked questions will finally be answered as two special guests battle it out until one's reigns superior. You better get ready, because this is serious. And now it's time to meet your host and tonight's moderator, Jenna Hernandez.
Welcome everyone to today's 2 a.m. debates. We are arguing a much broader question today, but it's very interesting, especially if you are a fan of superheroes, which I definitely have been since I was 11 and got into The Flash, which was the very first superhero I ever actually decided to read up on. Later getting into, of course, Green Arrow, because all I had available was the CW. I did not realize there were better things out there to watch. Now I am a huge Umbrella Academy fan, huge Klaus and huge Vanya fans, as well as number 5, because I love number 5's personality, but mostly Klaus and Vanya have the best powers, in my opinion. So today we have Julia over here arguing the side of shapeshifting is absolutely the best power, the one you would want out of any other superpower that you could possibly have in this universe. And we have Garrett over here arguing the side of time control or chronokinesis, which is its preferred term, but we're just going to call it time control because saying chronokinesis is very difficult and will just take up too much time. All right. So we're going to start off here. Julia, I'm going to have you start off with why do you feel that shapeshifting is the best superpower?
I took my time doing some research for this. My biggest reasoning for arguing for shapeshifting is how it's applicable for today's society in a sense of where vanity is very important and socialization is taking control over the trust of machines because we've had a technology increase that's a little out of control for the average, human. So I'd argue that with shape-shifting powers and with the abilities that are adhered towards that power, it would be more efficient to have it in a day-to-day life, and that was my main concern while I was arguing for a superpower. So I believe it's the most fitting for today's day and age.
Garrett, why do you feel that time control's the best superpower to have in the world?
All right. Well, when you talk about superpowers, I think of superheroes. All right. When you think of superheroes, I think of like fighting crime, fighting bad guys. All right. And let me put you through this. Some guy's trying to fight you, but no matter what he does, you can always move faster than him because you're slowing down time around you, but you move the same. No matter what, like they could do anything. They could try to stab you, try to fire a gun at you, but you can move. You can slow down time around you to have that bullet be completely stopped or to a crawl and move around it. So the ability to stop time or control the flow of time around you is it basically negates anything else because no one can really expect someone to be able to stop or control time and they can't account for it. How do you stop someone from doing that at will, right? So that's why I think it's such a good ability to have because it basically negates everything else. And it's overpowered to a degree.
So when you have the power, you're moving at the same speed though as the opponent.
No, in my, I guess, version of this kind of time control ability, right? You can basically the flow of time around you is controlled to how you want it to be, but you still move at normal speed in that time. It's almost like you have this protective layer of time, I guess, around you. And you move through time differently than everyone else. But, you basically keep the same speed. So if someone tries to punch you, you can basically literally just step around it while he's doing slow motion the whole time.
So it's more like a super speed. So it's like time control with a super speed element?
Kind of, yeah. But that's the I guess the part that makes it so overpowered to me is that they perceive it as super speed, but they don't realize what it actually is. And I think if you can figure out, if you're figuring out superhero's power, right? Half the battle is knowing. So if they know what your power is, they know what to expect. But if they can't actually perceive what's going on and they think it's something else, then they'll be thrown off completely.
So I'm imagining how you're saying this is I'm imagining more of a super speed, but kind of like Quicksilver's kitchen scene.
Yeah.
In Days of Future Past, where everything slows down and he's both kind of speeding up and slowing down as he's moving everything around him.
I never watched Quicksilver, but I'm going to take your word for it that that's kind of how that is. I think I've seen like clips of Quicksilver basically doing that, where if like something blows up and he basically gets everyone out of their quick speed. That's kind of like along the lines of what it would be then. Yeah.
Would there be any restrictions at all though? Like I did watch a show called Extraordinary, and it's about a world where everyone has a superpower, and this one guy does have time control abilities. He can only go back in time though, and he can only go back in time about 5 minutes.
Right.
So he never really could change anything.
In this it's not like time. You can't like go back in time or go forward in time. You can just control the flow of it, basically. So you can't ever go back and undo a move, but you can basically in the moment quickly think about what's the best move to get out of a situation and then be able to adapt to it. Because like part of my reasoning too with this is like when you're able to slow down time, your reaction time is that much faster. Your time to think is a lot faster, right? So your ability to dissect like whatever's going on, it is like way better than everyone else's because you have like minutes to think about seconds, basically. So it's not like a jump back in time or jump forward in time. It's more just like you can give yourself more time, basically.
Can I ask questions?
Yes, of
Okay,
course.
so my first question is, would you be exempt from the rule of changing order of, the natural order and how that can affect the timeline?
It doesn't. You don't really go back in time with this. The power that I'm like proposing, you don't really go back in time with it or forward into it. So you can't really change like.
But if you're changing a bullet from its course, even though you're getting away from it, it probably could, exempt somebody else from getting shot that were supposed to be shot, and it could mess up the timeline. My question is,
Right.
You're in control of the time, right? Would you
Right.
be exempt from changing the timeline with that power?
You have the power. You can do whatever you want with it. I'm saying like there's no like the boys situation where I'm like being controlled by some like government or like company to not do this. Nobody's stopping me. So I'd say like if you're like surrounded by a group of dudes, right, and they got guns pointed at you, dude shoots a bullet, and you can like just push that bullet so it goes a completely different direction. I know that's like probably impossible if you think about it, but we're talking about superpowers, so anything's possible. But I'm saying if like you could push that bullet and it like nails some other dude in the head, like some bad guy, that'd actually be kind of cool, honestly. Because like you just got a 2-for-1 right there.
Could you completely stop time? Like if you can control the flow of it, would you be able to just completely like freeze everything?
I couldn't see why.
What would you do with that?
I don't know. I'd probably get a lot of work done, honestly. Like
You wouldn't have to stand in line.
yeah. I just walk to the back of McDonald's, get my own burger, get my own nuggets and everything. They're like, "Oh, we're missing a thing of fries." Like, I don't know how that happened, bro.
So your power is more on the lines of you think a little bit similar to me of like when I think of a power, I think of a superhero. Like if
Yeah.
I were to get a power, I'd immediately start fighting crime just because it seems amazing.
Yeah.
Julia, you talked to me a little bit about your power before, and it's more like how would you use it like in society? Would you fight crime? Would you help the justice system? Would you just live every day
I feel like it's
shape-shifting?
a deeper question on morality. What would I do if I had more power to do good or make movement? Would I be somebody that does inherently good, or would I do things that fit my bias? Because we talked a lot about how shape-shifting is a social mechanism too, because I could shapeshift to a most trusted advisor of a international figure and figure out, secrets and plans in advance and maybe try to stop it. But everything goes through perspective on today's day and age. I remember one of my professors at the Z School say one man's revolution is another man's terrorism. It's really hard to understand what I would do in a situation if I had the power, but my main takeaway with shapeshifting was to what I can adhere power-wise from shapeshifting. So I had two main examples. One for the social one was Mystique, right? She would shapeshift into other humans or in human form to, fit her best areas of skills. She could shapeshift into a police officer and, have the access to those toys or, guns. But I also consider Beast Boy, which is a shapeshifter that could turn into different species, and that could help me swim, fly, and adhere to other environments. And that's why I feel like shapeshifting is arguably one of the best powers, because you also get other powers inherently through it. And that was my main reason for thinking it would be the best. I also think changing time is a little tricky because, again, of the timeline. I feel like every single movie that has some sort of time control. What is that romance movie that the guy has a watch? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Was it the one where he like teleports to different points in time or something?
Do you know what I'm talking about? He has a watch and he goes into the closet, and then he realizes that if he goes back to see his dad, he's going to lose his wife on the next timeline.
Oh, butterfly effect? Well, that is kind of about time
Right. That's
control of
also
it.
So I think like here's my main takeaway, right, of why I think I'm better than you today is because it's so messy to mess with time and not have consequences to every other person. Meanwhile, my power is pretty present and it involves planning ahead. Yours involves planning immediately. So it keeps you on your toes. What guarantees that you're going to think about something in the speed of a bullet?
Because it could slow down time to think about it.
So if you feel a spidey tingle that's weird from any other day, you would just be like, stop and analyze every single situation around
I mean,
you.
you could, but again, that's me trying to be like prepared in the moment, and that's again like assuming people think my ability is like super speed or it's anything like that. So it's like it's like a misdirection of sorts, Like they're not gonna know if they think my power is like super speed or something. They're like, oh, he can't stop a bullet, right? But if I'm able to like prepare myself in a certain sense where it's like I know there's a situation going on, like if I know some dude's like following me, like if I'm able to figure that out, because like again, ability to freeze time, you could like maybe stop, check your surroundings, be like, all right, am I good? I'm good. Okay, keep going. But if you notice some guy's like following you, like an assassin or something like that, you can easily like turn a corner, stop time, go right down the road, go completely away from him, and suddenly he's not a problem anymore. He's gone. He doesn't know where you are.
I kind of saw where your question was aiming. It's like more, could you activate that power in that half a second of time that it takes from a bullet to leave the gun and hit someone?
No, well, yeah, maybe you could. I'm not sure. I haven't fully thought it out, but I'm assuming that if you had the ability to slow down time, right, you'd be able to realize like guys got a gun pointed at you. You would know to gradually quickly slow down time, and then the minute the bullet comes out, that's when you could set it to a halt and then move from there. So you can. It's almost like a dial, right? Like you can decrease it or increase it however much you want, but there's like from stop to fast, right? And there's somewhere in the middle. You can turn it as much as you want to slow it down. Like you can make someone move at half speed, quarter speed, or like not at all, and you can kind of control it that way. So if you're able to anticipate it ahead of time, then you'll be able to do it. But yeah, that's pretty much that.
How are you controlling this? Like, is it you're just controlling the entire concept of time, or are you just controlling like everyone in the world's perception of it? Like, are you slowing them all down, or are you literally just like throwing yourself on all like aspects of time?
I'm imagining it as basically you control time around you. Like everything around you, Earth and everything like that, gets controlled with this time ability, right? So again, like the flow of time changes for everyone else, but not for you. Because for some like whatever reason, again, all hypothetical, but like for whatever reason, you move freely in time. No one else does.
So you're exempt
You're
from
exempt.
the limits of time.
Yes. Except when you age. That would suck. Oh, I just hadn't thought about that. You'd
Yeah,
age
how
differently
do you
too.
age? Yeah. How do you age? Because like I thought about it with
I mean-
shapeshifting too, the bullet thing.
Yeah.
Because I could technically, if I could shapeshift, that means that I could skin shift and
Yeah.
make myself
Like steel.
metal
Yeah.
or steel, right? And then be essentially bulletproof. But can I give myself Botox?
I think if you shapeshift
I
into like
think
an
you
ant, you get like an
could.
8-hour lifespan.
So if I shapeshift myself into a 7-year-old kid and I just don't shape I shapeshift myself back into an old woman, I'll just grow in that body.
It's hard
See,
to tell because I'm trying to think of like superheroes that shapeshift and
There's
how would
not
that
a
work?
lot.
Because
when I
well,
did my research, it was
Yeah.
mostly supervillains, which I thought was very interesting of me to
That's-
choose.
some of them
shapeshifting.
shapeshift, but they can only shapeshift into one thing. Like
Yeah.
steel can only shapeshift into steel.
Well, like Beast Boy, like because you brought him up, Beast Boy is able to shapeshift into whatever animal, but he still remains the same age despite that. Like he
Right.
still ages normally. So that's like I would assume that
So that ability would die with him.
yeah, I think the shapeshifting ability is purely like from a physiological standpoint, like physically speaking, you're gonna look like a bird, but your body still is human to a degree.
Right, but what if I just decide that I want to be a bird?
Then you get bird brain and you don't know you have shapeshifting abilities.
And then I just don't shapeshift back because I think I'm a bird.
would be
if
awful.
long enough, that's not kind of freeing, to be honest. If I hate it here, if I truly hate it here, and I want to shapeshift into a molecule that will become something else in the space and get the hell out of planet Earth, maybe I could.
But again, like, are there restrictions? Like, is shapeshifting? Because for some like aspects, shapeshifting is almost like clenching a muscle. You can only do it for so long before you have to give yourself a break.
Would it involve strength? So mainly my research with the YouTube nerds involved the fact that they brought up Einstein's mass and energy theory, where it would require me energy to shapeshift from something into something. And if I lose weight, or so if I'm 120 pounds and I want to become a 20-pound bird, the energy that it will take me to become that bird is gonna have inherently something, an impact in the actual world, right? And it would require force from me. But if I do shapeshift, that means that I know how to. It's just how will the outer world answer to my change in energy? So will that be kind of like an explosive where I have to shapeshift in private, or can I just shapeshift like Mystique in front of somebody else and I can control that? So I feel like there are a couple of mishaps with shapeshifting, but again, it doesn't have an immediate impact into other people if I know how to control it. Whereas time, I see it having an impact on other people because the perception of time and how events occur is how a timeline is built. And every single superhero or science fiction movie where they time travel and they put the wrong shoe on, so all of a sudden there's World War V, in 2020 something.
Yeah, but again, like time travel in this scenario isn't a thing. It's not like a time travel. It's just like restrict. So like to the average person, to the guy who's literally pulling a knife on me, all he sees is 1 second I'm there, the next time behind him. Time moves normally still for them, but the way they perceive it, it moves normally. But for me, I know I've like stopped time or slowed it down to a crawl, so that way like I'm able to move around them. So think of it like in a boxing sense, right? If two boxers are fighting and one of them hypothetically had this power, right? He would they would still if the guy without the power throws the punch, to him the punch still goes at normal speed. But what he doesn't realize is this guy is able to slow down that time, move to dodge, like
So
see it
to other
coming.
people, you just look like the Flash.
Yeah, pretty much.
I've noticed just a lot with shapeshifters in general. They tend to get their powers, but they have some sort of like way of looking normal. Like Mystique is blue with the bright orange hair. Beast Boy is green hair. Monster Girl, which if you've watched Invincible, she can shapeshift to a monster, but every single time she does it, she gets younger. That's why she's called Monster Girl, because she essentially is like 30 years old, but she looks like she's 7. Would you be scared of that? Like if you got a power and then but they'll be like, but you're gonna look like this forever, and you were just like neon green.
Well, here's the thing, right? I feel like going back to the vanity aspect of it, most of us nowadays kind of have to be shapeshifters. I feel like our best example, I will say this with a heavy heart because I do like them as entertainers, but the Kardashians are a great example of shapeshifting through times of aesthetic. In 10 years, they put their implants, took them out, put them back on, took them out, put them lips out, took them out, put them back on again. So I feel like it wouldn't be really stuck to me what my original form is, because at some point we change enough times where like, who am I really? So I don't think I'd be stuck with how my original appearance would be with the effects of changing so much, because I could be a Victoria's Secret angel at the end of the day, just to look at myself in the mirror and feel better about myself. Because who's gonna tell me that's not me? I just did that. That isn't. I'm looking at myself and I just did that. So who's to tell it's not me?
Go ahead.
I'm gonna kind of take it as more like a superhero approach now, right?
Okay.
So let's say you have this ability, and I think it's like a really cool ability to shapeshift into anybody in any given thing, right? It's like for a scouting purpose, for like intel collection, that's cool. That's a really cool power. But the caveat comes then, what happens when the person you shapeshift into stands right next to you?
Right, and that would involve planning. But I thought about that because I have OCD. So
Right.
I already have the anxiety of what could happen anyway, and I thought about 100 things that could happen. And because I am very well trained by the Z School, I have very good investigative skills. So I'd make sure that it was planned in advance, especially if I was to adhere to the superhero thing, talking about the superpower being stilled on me, I would plan in advance.
Okay.
So maybe keep track of meetings, have that journalistic skill. Maybe be a journalist. Because I thought about the fact that there's a lot of, if a superhero is not a journalist, he's dating one. Think about it.
Okay.
Most plot lines involve the inclusion of somebody in the media. So I think that would very much adhere to the fact that I could plan stuff in advance, particularly politics in America and in Florida because we have the Sunshine Law. Thank you.
I think like mentally right now I'm thinking of this like funny scenario where it's like you try to like become Trump or something like that, and like
So real.
You knock him out or whatever, do like a karate chop to the neck, and then he wakes up in his underwear, he's like, who is that person and why do they look like me? And everyone just like starts looking back and forth at both of you. It's just, I don't know why, it's just a funny like
Or
scenario
use
I
it to
thought of.
confuse people. I think like now you gave me an idea of terrorizing people, because I shapeshift into dead people and then like and then just come terrorize somebody and be like, hi, I'm your mommy telling you that you have to stop throwing bombs at young kids.
I don't think she's allowed to have superpowers. I think
Yeah.
I
I feel like we're
think she's a
crossing
villain.
over
I think
into,
she's
like,
a villain, yeah.
This is
Oh,
like the
yeah.
start of you becoming a super
This is actually
villain.
my villain arc, guys. The intro to this podcast is how I become a villain.
Yeah, I'd say like
Yeah.
okay. So the one last thing I have with shapeshifting is in the event that you do get caught, because you can prepare for any given thing to happen, right? Ultimately, you can't always prepare for something you don't expect, right? So let's say if like something happens, like there's a guard watching on the security cameras, right? He sees, two people walk into a room, one person walks out, it's that one person. Then later he sees that person walk out, right? Because are you going to kill the person that you're becoming? Because that's one less person in the society. And then if you stop shapeshifting, where'd that person go? What happened to him?
If I shapeshift into somebody that doesn't exist? Wait, I'm sorry. I
So-
did not understand
So
your
if
question.
you try to like shapeshift into like some politician, like you become
Okay.
Mitch McConnell or something like that, not to get political.
I love
but-
that for me.
So you shapeshift into Mitch McConnell, right?
Okay.
And people see, like, security guards are seeing two Mitch McConnells on the cameras at two different places.
Why would
And
they see two Mitch McConnells if I planned in advance?
So let's say, how are you going to take care of the first the real Mitch McConnell? What are you going to do? Kill him?
No, I can shapeshift into the person that handles catering and give him diarrhea so he stays in the bathroom for an hour longer and I do my stuff.
All right, but
And then I just go into the bathroom, shapeshift into another man, let Mitch McConnell out, and it just looked like Mitch McConnell took a
All right.
very long poop in the
Yeah.
chambers.
okay, so Mitch McConnell, he's got his grown man diapers on because he's 80. How old is he again? Like,
Let's
No
consider
idea.
that I shapeshifted into an assistant and brought him a diaper.
okay. So
Right.
first things first, you've shapeshifted into one of his assistants. What happens to that assistant? Because she's a known assistant, she has to have clearance to get near Mitch McConnell, right?
She could be taking a nap.
Okay, she takes a nap.
I
How
carry
long, though?
melatonin gummies everywhere, and she could have just thought it was like Sour Patch for a second. And she really likes Sour Patch, and you know why I know that? Because I'm a journalist, and I
Okay.
researched that she likes Sour Patch,
Okay,
and I
okay, fair.
infuse them with melatonin.
So this little nap, right? Let's say
Right.
at tops, it's gonna take like an hour and a half nap.
I don't need more than an
she
hour and a
takes,
half
like,
to deliver a diaper.
But you don't know. You don't know because you can't always prepare for everything. So you get stopped by security along the way. You have to talk to some people as well.
Right.
An hour and a half passes. That lady's woken up. They say, "Hey, I just saw you in the courtyard," and it's like, "Oh, that's impossible. I was
napping."
napping. We have a security breach. Call every single guard in the U.S. military.
I
and get
become
them
a
in this-
guard. And while everybody's running, I'm a guard with a gun. And
Okay.
all of a sudden, I look like one of the people escorting people out of the building, and I'm gone.
But suddenly, another soldier walks up to you.
Okay.
Right, and says, "What's your call
We
sign?
can
What's
both
your call
keep
sign,
making up
soldier?"
situations until
I'm
the
just saying-
end.
I'm putting you in a hypothetical, right?
Right.
And
No,
I'm
that's
just
fair.
wanting to see, like, how far can you take this ability?
Let's get into
right?
it. Yeah,
So
no.
this
Test time.
this soldier, this U.S. Army guy, kid fresh out of college, not college, high school, right?
Okay.
19, buzz cut, chewing tobacco, the whole 9 yards, right?
Love that. Hmm.
He walks up to you and is like, "Soldier, what's your call sign?" What do you say?
I would know that because I would have searched that. But
Okay,
right
fair.
now,
All right.
I would have used I was like, Garrett, can you pause time really quick so I can Google this?
All right.
And then
Yo, I got you. Hang on one
You'd
second.
Yeah.
be working together.
we'd be working together. And you prevent me from becoming the villain that I was sought to be in
You'd
the
be
first
on,
place.
You'd be on a short lease. I'm telling you that right now.
You just let me go. At the end of the day, be like, just go cause havoc, I guess.
Yeah, you want to be some kid's dead parents? You know what? Go for
Just
it.
go
I-
ahead.
I don't,
Yeah, I don't
I don't have time for this.
No, yeah. It's like, how long would I care also? I think about that all the time. How long would I keep it up until I'm like, retiring? I'm retired.
Yeah.
Who's gonna stop me from retiring? I could shapeshift into a retired person.
You know what'd be really cool? Shapeshift into a cat and just live life as a cat for a bit.
See, because I don't know how that would work because I am physiologically allergic to cats. So, like, would I die inside? Would I kill myself? It would be like, just like, yeah. And when I know it's done for me and it's time, I'll just shapeshift into a
That would
cat
be
and have a
just-
very
Dog,
slow
That
death.
would be just like the funniest suicide to read in a comic book.
That
of
is
just
so
like,
fun.
Oh,
Actually,
she shapeshifted into
to
a cat
'cause
and she's allergic.
Yeah, no, and I'm allergic in a way where, like, if you have a cat and you wear a hoodie where you hug the cat in the morning, I will be puffy faced if you hug me.
Ugh.
I'm allergic, dog. I mean, cat. I'm
See,
allergic.
But I would get
allergic.
scared. So, like, again, in the show that I watched, Extraordinary, there's
Mm-hmm.
a guy who can shapeshift, and he shapeshifted into a cat and got stuck that way for years.
See, and that's
And
why.
Then he literally forgot how to be human when he finally managed to shapeshift back.
if I shapeshift into a white man and I get stuck, I think I'm gonna be sad. I'm gonna be upset that I did that to myself.
How do you feel?
How do you feel about that, Garrett?
Stares right at the camera. Well, listen, we have a lot of cool things going on for us white folk.
No, I agree. If I
yeah.
get stuck with the white privilege as well, that would be lovely. That would
Oh,
be
dude.
amazing.
Officer pulls you over, you're just like, "Hey, sir, how you doing today?"
Real.
But that would suck though, because you imagine like this dude comes back as being a cat. He's gonna like start licking himself too, because he thinks
Yeah,
he's a cat.
he
He's gonna
did in
start,
the
like,
show.
Hairball.
That's what I'm saying. I don't. Yeah. And when do you stop? Do you always have a protection of layer of perception of time, or eventually that wears you out too because you're getting old? And what if you get dementia?
That would suck. But I think dementia is like it could happen to anybody. I don't think there's
Yeah.
I really can't think of like a specific illness or anything. I think if
No side effects to your.
no, the side effect would be I would age slower because if I'm constantly using the slow down ability to fight crime, right?
How would you tell people that you're Adeline?
I'm Tom Cruise.
Yeah. How? Yeah. How do you explain that to people? Are you not going to be close to anybody in your life?
Well, like I said, I'd just be Tom Cruise. Have like just say it's an amazing skincare routine.
Love that. At this day and age, you'll probably get it.
I probably could
Ask
get
the
away with it, yeah.
Kardashians
Whoever,
what they are
like,
doing.
Yeah, whatever
I'm
the
sure.
celebrities are using, I'll just say, oh yeah, I'm using that. It's like St. Ives
Are
or
they still
something like
doing
that.
the whole blood mask thing?
I don't know.
The infusion. They draw their own blood and make like a plasma
I-
mask. I don't.
Oh no,
Do
it's
you
like
know what I'm talking
they.
about?
Yeah, I saw this. It's like
Unrelated,
they
so
take
sorry.
blood
that's
out of
fine.
other parts of their body and then like inject it into their face.
Yeah, that's very concerning.
Which is weird because it's like it's veins.
There's a,
Do you know when you watch old movies about how people will be in the future and it starts sounding like
still age at a normal time in perception to what time is for me. Because again, if it's slowed down by 5 seconds, 5 seconds has passed for me. Maybe 1 second has passed for the guy in front of me, right? So I would actually age faster, technically, if I use this power all the time, which again, I'm fine with. Because if I'm a hero, right, I would have saved a lot of people at the cost of time on my life. So it's like, it's a moral thing. Like, are you fine with, having less time on this earth so long as you're able to protect others? Me, sure, why not? Also, I need to stop touching that. Why not, right? Because I think it'd be a cool power to have. Because it's like you could do so much with it, right? The possibilities are endless. But I think that would be like the one caveat of this power is that you will age faster if you keep slowing down time. Maybe not by much, truth be told, because it's like
a couple
again,
years?
10 seconds here and there. It's gonna take
Couple
like
years.
it's gonna take like
Are you
maybe,
gonna limit your fight criming to just like a block, maybe a city?
I'm gonna think big.
Are you gonna Spider-Man it?
I'm gonna think big. I think like in this proverbial world, as far as I know, I'm the only person with these kind of powers.
Right.
Right. So I gotta think like, okay, well let's save. Maybe I'll just save like crime in Tampa. Make it like a cleaner city.
So you will Spider-Man it.
I will Spider-Man it. Yeah.
Okay, for the good of your aging.
Sure.
Friendly
Totally.
neighborhood time controller.
I feel bad for my uncle now because he's gonna get stuck in the Kennedy event now, pretty much.
Yeah, basically.
Have you- I was gonna say, have you guys ever seen the new Spider-Man movie? The which one was it? I can't remember. It's
also
not
can't
the
remember
it's
the
not the
name.
No Way Home one. It's the new animated one with Miles Morales. But
Oh,
Into
across
the
the
Spider-
Into the
Spider-Verse?
Spider-Verse, yeah.
Mhm.
They have this really interesting concept on there where it's like spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen it yet. But
If you haven't, seek help.
yeah,
also.
close your
If
ears.
you haven't,
just
it's
go
on
la, la, la.
Netflix.
It's
If you
on-
don't have
Yeah.
Netflix, well, then make some friends who do.
Make some
Yeah.
friends. Still sign up. We're all broke college students, and it's okay.
Yeah, whatever you do, go to a website and just anyway. I'm not a pirate, but so they introduced this interesting concept where you have all these Spider-Men across different universes, even the live-action ones, even the in-the-person ones. They're in this universe, but not actually. So every Spider-Man across the universe has canon events. Every Spider-Man goes through the same pain where they have an uncle that will die.
Parents.
Yeah, like the whole thing. It's all similar across each event, just a little different based on the Spider-Man. I don't know where I'm going with this, but I thought that was really interesting. Like, kinda
Yeah, that's what
something
I
like
was
that,
gonna.
yeah.
Because the thing with time is like it also infringes on your beliefs. Do you feel like there's a set destiny for you, and you infringing that time will change that, or do you think there's free will and everybody just does whatever, so you changing it won't change
All right.
anything?
Religiously speaking,
Mm-hmm.
God gave us free will, right? So we can choose to do with that free will what we want. And now I'm under the assumption that God gave me this power, right? Because God made everything, you know? And God has a plan for everybody. Again, religious for like no reason. But I'm assuming God gave me this power, so I don't think God would punish me for using this power for good. I think it would be like I think it's like any given person has a certain ability, has like something special about them. How they choose to use that is up to them, and that's ultimately what makes them a good or bad person. Like if you're someone who's like super strong and you use that to like just pick on people, you're an awful person, right? God gave you the ability to be a very strong, very athletic person, and you're using it for bad. Now, if you're using your athletic ability for good, like you're wanting to become like a track star or something like that, and raise money for charities or something like that, that's a good use of your power because it's inherently your God-given ability, and you're using it for good. So I think if God gave me the ability to control time, God would want me to use it for good. Of course, we have free will, so I can do whatever I want with it. But morally, I want to use it for good.
I have a follow-up question.
Okay.
You do have free will, but he has a plan for you.
Yes.
So if you can control time and change that plan, you're God.
No.
Okay.
Because, and this is like deep in religion, like, but God's plan for everybody isn't that like minute. Like it's not like that laser focused, I guess.
There's not a specific timeline that you would mess up.
Well, again, even if we did, we didn't know. I don't know why he does it. Like I couldn't say why he did X, Y, or Z. I couldn't say why there is this in the world or that in the world. I just know there's some greater plan that's beyond me, right?
So a man with better superpowers gave you a smaller superpower that couldn't infringe on his bigger superpowers.
Pretty much.
Understood.
I do have a question for both of you. So, like, with superpowers tends to come people who also try to get them, and that's kind of like the sense of where super villains come from. Like, someone will always try to match you. What would happen? Like, if you got to, like, let's say someone can replicate shapeshifting, or someone can replicate the control of time, like, and then it would be up to you. You were the only person who could match up to them. How, like, what would you do to, like, fight them or to set everything back to normal?
I'll start with this because I kind of already have an idea for this. If two guys had the exact same ability to control time, it would just negate, right? So what would happen is both of us would move in still time to fight each other. Nothing would change. I actually do think an interesting use of the speeding up would be to speed up the time flow of someone else while they believe they're going to be slowing down time, right? So they can move fast. They end up moving way too fast and they're way off course. So if they were going to go throw a punch in normal time, speed up time, I completely miss, and then he gets around me, right? Because I just went so fast I couldn't control it. So I think it'd be like a chess match at that point of who can plan out like 3 moves ahead in front of the dude that they're fighting. It's almost like jujitsu. Can you plan out like 3 moves ahead of the dude you're going against to basically one up them in the same playing field? Because if it's two purple belts in jiu-jitsu going against each other, realistically, and like, same size and everything like that, realistically they have a similar skill set, right? But it's who has the mental pedigree to be able to one up the person that's against them, right? And so that's how that would go. And whether or not he's smarter than me, if he's smarter than me, I'm screwed. It's over. Like if he wins in 3D chess, like I'm done. I can't win that.
Julia, what about you? Like, what if you came up to someone, they could also shapeshift?
Hard, am I going to be able to have the ability to tell they are a shapeshifter? Because at the end of the day, you are shapeshifting. So, and I feel like it could get confusing. So, might be like a kind of like, what are those? Sorry, English is my second language. What are those rooms in arcades or like carnivals that have a bunch of mirrors?
Oh, the Hall of Mirrors?
Sure, the Hall of Mirrors, yeah. Or like the funny mirrors. It'd be kind of the situation like that where like, who am I truly fighting here? And is it me? I think it again would be something that Garrett mentioned in a skill set kind of thing. If I can find out who that shapeshifter is and where do they stay, are they nomads? Do they have like an office? And maybe, plan it long term to try to see like what they are planning and then get ahead like that. But I don't see myself being able to fight them without knowing that they are a shapeshifter. Because then I could just be killing a random person that is not the shapeshifter and I missed.
We are starting to run out of time, so we are going to wrap this up. But I have been hearing both of like your abilities and restrictions, and I thought of names.
For
you.
us,
Alright.
amazing hit me.
So, Julia,
sexy.
I thought of 2 names.
Okay.
So I thought a cool one could be for you, Gemini, because it's the two-faced
Love
sign.
that. Okay.
And then I also thought of the name because you mentioned like how people kind of shapeshift now, but it's also like how would you use it like philosophically, like what is good. So then I thought neutral could also be a good name. Neutral. Just neutral.
I
That's
like
good.
that. That's
good.
that kind of hits kind of hard.
And then Garrett, because you talked about maybe staying in Tampa and just doing this.
Okay.
Just fighting crime here in Tampa, and then you also mentioned kind of the dial of like how you would slow it down. So I thought you could literally be the sundial.
Ooh,
That
put that
hits.
on a t-shirt right
That
now. Put that
hits.
on a t-shirt. That's hard, actually. I love that.
Should we start a storyboard right now? I think this is a movie, guys.
I think we. Someone call Marvel or DC. They're not doing
Someone-
anything right now productive. So
They're not doing anything good, that's for sure.
No,
So
yeah.
we can definitely make sure to give them that call.
Yeah. Marvel, DC.
Let's
One
make
call
sure
away,
we
bro.
get.
The Adventures of Neutral and
Yeah.
Sundial.
Let's get
Yeah.
Dr. Watson in here to make sure we have our copyrights
Yeah.
done, and make sure that we have that bag when it comes to us
We get
with a
Ryan
free
in,
idea.
Yeah, we get Ryan to like help us like storyboard the whole characters.
I
and
love
everything
that,
like
100%.
Yeah, no, that's I like that. Sundial.
and never
Or
tell
just
anyone
never tell,
and just
because
be alone.
I'm
I
a
would-
blabbermouth. I feel like I tell people.
I would do my best to not tell anyone because at that point in time, the secret's out, right? Because if someone were to capture someone you know who knows this about you, they could torture them like awfully. Like we're talking like bamboo shoots up the fingernails type bad, right?
Ow,
Yeah, exactly.
I don't like that one.
And they could be hurt because of something you told them, and it's not even their fault,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I would do a Batman approach where I would keep my identity as close to clean as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe share it with like an Alfred, but that's it.
But then you have the money to have an Alfred. So that's what I'm saying.
No,
Are you gonna?
It's Tampa. I'm broke. I don't got that
Yeah,
money.
I don't have that money. Yeah, I feel like I'd be somebody. Yeah, who would I tell? Because at that point, I don't want to lose anybody.
Because
Too.
yeah, at that point in time, you
put 'em
bring
at
in an
risk.
innocent. Yeah, like it's a
I don't know.
it's a scary thing, and that's why like superheroes having secret identities makes sense because it's like, you know, with Batman, because of all the villains that are in Gotham and how ruthless they can be, like they're not afraid to take a body. That's
There
just a
are
number for
so
them.
many jokes though, just in all the Batman stuff that like clearly he's Bruce Banner. Like clearly
Yeah.
it's this guy.
Guys, we have the funds and the exact match, the one of this orphan that's
Yeah.
a Nepo baby, and we're pretty sure he dresses up as a bat, but no proofs.
You ever heard about the Bat credit card? It's a real thing. It was a commercial for like a, I think it was like a Visa, and it was basically Batman. I think it was Michael Keaton's Batman pulling up to a bank with a Batman credit card.
I love
I don't
that.
know why that was just so funny to
I
me.
love that. Yeah, I'd
So
probably rob a
goofy.
bank to get started, which is bad. See, inherently bad because I'm trying to steal money to help people. Well, Robin Hood did that. It's okay.
I don't think. Well, I mean, you stole that money from someone's bank account, so they're like bankrupt now. You know, so it's like
so real. I'll steal
It's
from a
true,
company.
when you're stealing from the rich
I'll
and
steal from
giving
a
to the
company.
poor,
Steal
you
from
just
the
turn
rich,
them
there you
into
go.
poor.
Yeah.
So it's like here, it's back.
I don't need to steal that much.
that reminds me.
There are people who have a lot. There are people who have a lot and they don't need that much.
The professor, or not the professor, the president, I think, of University of Arizona misplaced $240 million. There you go. That's your startup fund right there. Just got to misplace $240
It was just
million.
misplaced, and then it's my fault. I
I
don't think
wonder
so.
if she has a superpower, and that's how like she got her startup money. You know, that's how she's gonna fund the Batmobile.
That's so real.
Anyway, off that.
Yeah, and you know, you don't always have to worry about like where you're going because like your sundial, he's living in the shadows.
Yeah.
And you always know where they are.
What's funny too is like my girlfriend and I, we always go to St. Pete, right? And you know the sundial's right there. And I always thought that was so funny because I love downtown St. Pete. And literally in my head, I was like, Oh, she brought up the Spider-Man thing. It ended up being like Saint Pete or something like that. But no, Sundial is actually a really good one.
Sundial
I love
hits.
You just
that,
have to
yeah.
go over there and just do your best superhero pose. Have her take a picture.
I need to get someone to like draw me a costume of that, and I'll like hire someone to make it and everything like that. I'll pull up to the Sundial dressed as Sundial. There you go.
I love that.
I do. I want to see comic books now. I
Yeah.
really want someone to make a comic book
Yeah,
of just
please.
Sundial and
Yeah.
If you
Neutral.
are inherently bored this winter break and you listen to this podcast and that sparked you an idea,
Yeah.
please let us know. We only want 20% of the royalties
Yeah.
anyway.
Alright.
And I want casting rights in all movies and voice acting roles. Thank you.
I don't need all that, but go ahead.
Well, are you going with neutral or Gemini though?
I don't know if I love. Here's
I
my
liked
thing.
Neutral. 'cause
I like
thought
Neutral
of
better.
Gemini,
Yeah.
and then I thought of Neutral.
I
and I was
don't
like, "Ooh, that's
have
better."
a stellar record with Geminis.
Okay.
Not to be space racist. I just think that I'm gonna stick to neutral.
Okay. You're gonna be neutral.
Neutral.
Okay.
Neutral.
That's good.
I love
like
that.
All right. Now that we're closing out, this is normally around the time I do ask for closing statements that you want to give to me and the audience, to each other. So since Julia started us off, Garrett, why don't you give a closing statement?
All right. Well, citizens of Tampa, never fear. Sundial is here. But I still think that time manipulation, chronokinesis, whatever you want to call it, I still think that's the best ability because, again, who's going to stop me when I'm stopping time, you know? So that's my statement. I'm sticking to it.
All right, Julia, closing statement.
I really appreciated the enlightenment of your superpower. However, I am going to be stubborn and stick to what I brought and say that shapeshifting would be the most helpful on today's day and age and how we function as a society. So I think I'm going to stick to it because also it adds to a couple more powers to me that wouldn't be a bonus on any other superpower.
All right. I loved both of your arguments. Please, everyone, whoever is listening to this, feel free to poll who you felt had the better argument or the better superpower, whether it is shapeshifting or time manipulation. You can poll on Spotify and on our Instagram, and feel free to message us. What do you think is the best superpower? Like, if you disagree with all of this and you feel flying, strength, other weird ones that I'm sure someone has, maybe you want to be Kite Man, who knows? Feel free to message us with the best superpower in your opinion. No explanation, just what you would want to be, and a name, or if you can come up with better names than Neutral and Sundial.
Yes.
Feel free.
Give us names.
I'm set on Sundial, so
I like neutral, but I'll take names.
All right, well, thank you everyone for listening to this. Good morning and good night. This has been your 2 a.m. debate, and we'll see you all next. Or actually, no, this is the last episode that we've
Season
recorded.
finale, baby.
So season
let's
finale.
go.
So we'll
I
see you
know.
maybe next season, depending on whether or not we continue this monstrosity.
it's been
And
good though.
just thank you everyone so much. And good night.
Good night.